All right, so you take the constant and you move the constant to the right side of the equation. And like I said, that is not normal. Normally I say to solve a quadratic, it must be set equal to 0. All right, but in this case, all right, we're moving the constant to the right side of the equation. Now, here is what we mean by completing the square. We're trying to find a number that fits here that will make this a perfect square. All right, now to do that, it's a very simple technique. All right, and the technique is this. I want everybody to put a little note to the side. You just take b and you divide it by 2, and then you square it. That's how you complete the square. Now, something I probably should have mentioned or should have put up here on the board is when you complete the square, your quadratic is this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So b is simply the number in front of the x. B is the number in front of the x, which most of you already knew that. All right, so what number's in front of the x in this case? So we say 2 divided by 2, and then we square it. What's 2 divided by 2? What's 1 squared? So 1 squared equals 1. So I'm adding 1. And if I add 1 to the left side, I need to what? Add 1 to the right side. Now, this right here will now factor. That is a perfect square. In other words, I'm going to do the work. That factors into x plus 1 times x plus 1. That's what makes it a perfect square. All right. Now, it will always, so I want to rewrite it as x plus 1 squared equals 4. Now, some people get confused with how did you factor it so quickly? All right, this number right here is whatever this number is, whatever the half is. All right, whatever the half is. I actually underlined the wrong one. It's this right here. It just so happens that 1 squared is 1. So let me back up just to make sure I don't. So it always factors to whatever the half was. And in this case, the half was what? 1. All right. Now, from there, those of you guys who were here yesterday know we just have to do what to both sides now? We take the square root. We take the square root. So now, x plus 1, what's the square root of 4? Be careful from yesterday. What did I tell you not to forget? Plus or minus 2. All right, the answer is plus or minus 2. Now I move the 1 over. When I move the 1 over, it becomes x equals what? Negative 1 plus or minus 2. All right. Now, because there's no square root, what's negative 1 plus 2? 1. Or what's negative 1 minus 2? And what did we say the answer was originally? It's the same answer. All right. So no one in their right mind would do completing the square if you can what? If you can factor it. It's much easier to factor. All right. But because I was showing you a process, all right, this is the process that needs to be done if it can't factor. That's the process if it can't factor.
So do you want us to try factor?
No, not for this one. On a test, if I say factor by completing the square, and you could say, well, I could have just factored it. Yes, just factor it. Right? I never want you to do something that's more difficult, right? We always want to take the easy road. All right. So in this case, I can factor. So I just did that. I have the answer. But I'm teaching you a what? The process now. That's why I don't care that some of them can factor. We're going to learn the process. And you're going to do the process how many times? 12 times. After you do it 12 times, I have another worksheet that has 12 more problems on it. All right. So again, I would prefer to just do this worksheet with 12 problems. All right. But if some of you guys need a little extra practice, I went ahead and made some extra practice for you. Yes, Palmer. Yes. All right. We'll do better now on number 3. All right. Everybody look at number 3 for a second. All right. So step number 1, move the constant over. Move the constant over. So you're going to write down x squared minus 6x, leave a space, equals what? Equals -5. Now let's see who was paying attention. Yes, but I don't want to say 6 divided by 2. I prefer you say what? -6 divided by 2 equals what? -3. And then we're squaring -3. And when I square -3, I get what? 9. Now I just did it in 2 steps so I could show you something, just to make sure. Once you get the process down, it's just really simple. So now I put a what? +9 here, and I put a +9 over here. Now I said it always factors to whatever the half was. It always factors to whatever the half is. So you're going to put a parentheses. What's the half? X. The half was what? Yes, x minus 3. Close your parentheses. And then it's always going to be what? Squared. X minus 3 squared equals. What's -5 plus 9? No, 4. So I have x minus 3 squared equals 4. Now a question, go. I don't understand what you mean. Why did it change to a, why did the 3 change to a negative? This, again, come on, I understand, all right? I understand your questions, all right? I'm trying to make sure. This always factors, I'm trying to show you something. This always factors to whatever the half was. That's why I'm saying don't say half of 6 is 3, because then you'll miss it. Half of -6 is -3. That's what this factors to. Now, from there, we just do what? From there, we do what? Find the square root. Take the square root. What's the square root of x minus 3 squared? X minus 3 equals what? Plus or minus 2. Now I do what? X equals 3 plus or minus 2. So underneath that, x equals, what's 3 plus 2? 5. Or x equals, what's 3 minus 2? 1. There we have it. 5 or 1. 5 or 1. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? All right, let's let the fun continue. All right. Step number 1. Let's see how far you get. X squared plus 10x equals what? Plus what? 3. All right, come on, people. Now off to the side, you should say 10 divided by 2. What's 10 divided by 2? 5. Now what do I do with 5? Square it. What's 5 squared? So that's what I'm adding. I add 25. I add 25. Now it always factors to whatever the half was. What was the half? What kind of 5? X plus 5 squared equals, what's 3 plus 25? 28. Now what do I do to both sides? Take the square root of both sides. So now come on, X plus 5 equals, come on now, what's this? Yay, what, don't forget, plus or minus 2 radical 7. And now our final answer is just to do what? Subtract 5. So X equals -5 plus or minus 2 radical 7. Anybody have any issues? All right, flip the page. All right, here we go. All right, let me put it on pause. Let me give you a minute. Let's see how far you get before you make a mistake. All right, everybody should have moved what? So x squared minus 2x equals what? 2. -2 divided by 2 equals what? And then -1 squared. So I'm adding 1 to both sides. Come on, that's not that hard. Now, it factors to what? What does this factor to? X minus 1 squared equals what? 3. Perfect. Now what do I have to do to both sides? Square root x minus 1 equals what? Plus or minus square root of 3. X equals what? 1 plus or minus radical 3. 1 plus or minus radical 3. All right, again, it's just a process, the same thing over and over, same thing over and over. Move the constant, half and square, factor, take the square root, move the constant. That's it, every single time. All right, if you're not good at remembering that, then you write yourself little notes down. All right, let's do one more, 8. All right, everybody's on 8. Pause it for a minute. Hey, back on task now. Here we go, guys. Let's see how you did. All right. First thing is we're moving the 5 over. Hey. Ready? X squared plus 8x equals 5. 8 over 2 is what? 4. 4 squared is what? Plus 16. Now, what does that factor to? What does this factor to? X plus 4 squared equals 21. Now what? So X plus 4 equals, and final answer. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Leah, shh, 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 shh. I'm going to tell you. You with me on this? I'm going to say solve it by using completing the square. You hear me? I'm going to say solve by taking the square root. I'm going to say solve by factoring. I'm going to say completing the square.
Yeah.
Shh. It's called solve by completing the square. All right. Now, listen, I feel pretty good about this. Anybody struggling? Anybody? All right, last one I'll do with you. Number 11. All right, I'm going to put it on pause. Have at number 11. Okay, here we go. We should be good enough now that we just say x squared minus 14x equals 1. Now, again, at this stage of the game, if you know, you don't have to put 14 divided by 2 off to the side. You don't have to say square. You just say in your head, what's half of 14? Squared. You're adding 49. That's all you have to do. Add 49. So I put a plus 49. I put a plus 49. Then I say to myself, okay, what was the half? What was the half? Nope. The half was -7. That's the mistake most people make. They accidentally put +7 rather than what? -7. The half is -7. So you're supposed to write x minus 7 squared equals what? 50. All right, that's what you have, 50. Now we take the square root. And now hopefully you remember that the square root of 50 is 5 radical 2, but you always forget the what? Plus or minus. So everybody's supposed to put down plus or minus 5 radical 2, x minus 7 equals. Anybody got a problem with that? I'm listening.
Why it's -7 enough.
Half of -14, true? This is what you're looking at. That's the important thing that you need to remember. You're doing half of this -14. That's -7. That always goes there. And now your last step is just to do what? Add 7. So x is equal to 7 plus or minus 5 radical 2. That's it. That's all there is to it. All right. Now, who needs extra practice? Raise your hand. Oh, come on. No one needs extra practice. All right. I like that. Here you go. Here's another one. Now, look, the rest of you, I have already some kids I'm watching. They're not listening to me. They just finished their work. All right. Some people are already done with the worksheets. All right. If there's a problem, I can give you another one. All right. I prefer now taking it easy, trying to show you, get your work done. All right. Today is over now. All right. If you want to verify with your neighbor the evens, I'm good with that. All right. If you're finished, sit there and be quiet. Don't bother me, because if I call you to my desk, come get the extra work. All right. Good job.